everyone, welcome back to Actual English. My name is Jennifer Clyde. It is already time for lesson 28, and today let's talk about back pain. Of course, you can get back pain from a lot of things. For example, you may lift something the wrong way or lift something too heavy by using your back, or perhaps lifting with your back and not your leg muscles. I remember when I was little, so perhaps it was more than 20 years ago, my mom, she was trying to move furniture. I think it was a vanity table. It wasn't that heavy, but I think she put a lot of the weight of the furniture on her back, and she kind of pulled something in her back, and she had to walk like this for about 2 weeks. So she had to walk with a slouch. Or even, I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff. My friend said that, he was helping out one of his friends drywall, and he hurt his back by doing that. He was, I guess he was lifting things, and he lifted something too heavy. But he did mention that he had this burning feeling, this burning sensation down his leg, and he even felt pain in his back and even his buttocks. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's not too good. It's not just a pull of a muscle, but I think you might have ruptured disc or a herniated disc. We often even call it a slipped disc. So we'll be talking about that as well. It can be very, very harmful, so everyone please watch out. Anyhow, let's talk about back pain today. Are you ready? Let's get started.
You know, Rachel, now we're getting older. We are getting older. Everyone's getting older,
that's true.
Right? One thing that's playing on my mind is back pain.
Right.
Right. The older I get, and especially now I have a baby, I'm always lifting him up, and he's not a light kid. He's a very heavy child. I get some back pain in the mornings sometimes.
Yeah, you know, I heard that back pain is very common amongst our everyday lives, or people just in general as they get older. They get herniated discs from lifting things the wrong way. I heard you're supposed to lift with your legs, right?
With your knees. Bend your knees, not your back. That's the motto, I think.
Okay, and I think that is really important because so many people are suffering from back injuries.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't have any like herniated discs or any kind of dislocated discs in my back, but I do suffer from chronic back pain.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I think that's just a biological thing. It happens about once a month, and I used to have to get prescription medication for it, but nowadays the minute I feel the symptoms, I just kind of pop in some Advils,
some painkillers,
and I try to forget about it, and I drink lots of water because that helps. But I heard that exercising helps a lot. Exercising and stretching helps a lot with any kind of back pain or back injury. Have you heard
absolutely. And also posture is super important, you know?
Right.
Like the way we sit right now, actually. We should be sitting up straight. And apparently crossing your legs is really bad for your spine.
I cross my legs all the time.
So do I. It's much more comfortable to sit, but it's really bad for the alignment of your spine.
It makes sense. It does. And I think I'm also gaining weight puts a lot of pressure on your back, so that can make things worse.
That's right. So watching your weight for your back as well as your general health, I think is a good idea.
I think that's a great idea.
Well, in today's actual talk between Peter and Rachel, the two are talking about back pain and, of course, a lot more about herniated discs or even ruptured discs. Now, Peter mentioned that now that he's getting older, sometimes he does have back pain, especially in the mornings because he's lifting his little baby, and his baby is a pretty big baby, right? A heavy one. And Rachel mentioned something about having chronic back pain as well. So she did have to take prescription drugs or prescription medicine in the past. She often chooses to take painkillers for certain pains as well. But yes, as they did talk about herniated discs or ruptured discs, once you have that, once you have a herniated disc, you may have to get it treated, go to the hospital, maybe see a back doctor. In some cases, you may even have to get surgery. You may even check out a chiropractor or even get injections or even take an MRI or get an MRI. to get it scanned, right? Anyhow, let's take a look at the conversation between the two. Now, first of all, this is all that Peter has mentioned, so let's take it line by line slowly, okay? Peter says, you know, Rachel, now that we're getting older, okay, getting older, aging, one thing that's playing on my mind is back pain. Now, as you see, this part is underlined, which means we'll take a look at this pattern in just a bit. But he's saying, now that we're getting old, one thing that's playing on my mind is back pain. So if something is playing on your mind, let's say back pain is playing on your mind, what do you think it means? Imagine, draw a picture in your head. There's back pain and it's playing on your mind. It means that you're constantly thinking about something because you are worrying about it. So he's saying, one thing that's playing on my mind is back pain, meaning I am constantly worrying about back pain. Got it? Okay. And he says, especially now that I have a baby, I'm always lifting him up. Okay? And he's not a light kid. He's a very heavy child. Okay, and he says, I get back pain in the morning sometimes. So he's giving her details about how he feels when he has back pain. When is it? Usually in the mornings, not all the time, but sometimes he gets back pain. Now keep in mind, it's not back pains, but just pain. Although it happens quite often, never say back pains. Remember to say back pain, okay, in the singular form. Rachel says, yeah, I heard that back pain is very common amongst people, just in general. Among people or amongst people. Now, amongst with the ST or without the ST, among, amongst, they are the same. There is no big difference between them, okay? It means between, among, amongst. But I believe that amongst with the ST is used more commonly in British English or Australian English or even Canadian English than in American English. But keep in mind, they mean the same thing, among and amongst, okay? Now, as they, meaning people, get older, they get herniated discs from lifting things the wrong way. Or I would even add, from lifting heavy objects. Now, herniated disc or ruptured disc. You might have even heard of slipped disc. It means that there is an abnormal, something abnormally protrudes. That's why we even call it a slipped disc. But I think often in Korea, you just say, oh, I have a disc which is wrong. 디스크 있어, right? Yes, we all have discs, right? But if you want to talk about a problem with your spine because something is protruding from your spine, you want to say, I have a herniated disc. I have a ruptured disc. That's R-U-P-T-U-R-E-D. We'll take a look at that word in just a bit. So she says, as people get older, they get herniated discs or a herniated disc from lifting things the wrong way, incorrectly, okay? Not the proper way. I heard you're supposed to lift with your legs, she asks Peter. And Peter says, with your knees, okay? The lift is omitted, so lift with your knees, okay? Bend your knees, not your back, okay? So he's explaining to her the proper way to lift things. He says, that is the motto, I think. What is a motto? I think the Korean version of pronouncing the word is motto, motto, right? Okay. Next time you want to say motto, try saying motto, okay? It's not motto, it's motto. So basically a motto could be an expression, it could be a phrase, or even a word that expresses the purpose or spirit of someone or something. So he's saying that's the main message. You know, don't lift with your back, lift with your knees, your legs. Bend your knees, not your back, he says. Now, Rachel says, but so many people are suffering from back injuries. Now, we talked about injuries the other day. And you can say suffer from something. So in this case, she's talking about people suffering from back injuries. I think oftentimes in place of from, some people say suffer with, okay? You could say suffer with, but in most cases, if you are talking about a certain problem, such as back injuries, you want to say suffer from a certain injury or suffer from a certain disease or an illness. So keep in mind that suffer and from often go together. I don't have a herniated disc, okay, or a dislocated disc. They're very similar in my back, but I do suffer from chronic back pain. Now, chronic, I'm sure you've heard of that word, chronic something. Chronic back pain is back pain that continues for a long time. Now, you've heard of chronic illnesses or chronic diseases. It means that it is very serious, it is continuing for a long time, and it's often gradual. So it gets even worse and worse and worse over a long period of time. Okay, moving on. She talks about how she used to have to get certain medicine. I used to have to get prescription medication. Medication, you can also say drugs or medicine for it. Now, prescription here, if it's written or used with medicine or drugs, it means that you are prescribed a certain medicine from a doctor. You have to take a certain form to the pharmacy to get the drug. So, prescription medicine. But nowadays, the minute I feel the symptoms, I pop in some Advil, some painkillers. Now, everyone, this is just a name, okay, of a product, so you could just cross that out. Take a look at the minute I feel the symptoms, I pop some painkillers. Pop, pop, popcorn pops, pop, pop, pop. A balloon can pop, right? But in this case, pop a painkiller or pop some painkillers, okay? It means to open one up and throw it in your mouth. Take medicine, okay? So she says, when I feel the symptoms, the instant I do, the minute, the second I feel the symptoms, I take some painkillers. I pop some painkillers. I heard exercising and stretching helps a lot with any kind of back pain or back injury. And then she asks, have you heard about that? Okay, let's see what Peter says. He says, absolutely. Oh, most certainly. Of course. And also, posture is super important. Yes, posture is very important. Now that we're talking about posture, what is a posture? Okay, posture is perhaps a way of positioning your body, the way it's aligned, okay? So if you have good posture, you'd probably be standing like this, okay? Your shoulders wide open, your eyes at a certain level, your chin up basically. But if you have bad posture, you'll most likely slouch, okay? So that's bad posture. I have bad posture. So good posture, bad posture. So he's saying posture is super important. It's very, very important. Like the way we sit. And he says, see, right now actually, we should be sitting up straight. Yeah, even when we sit down, you could sit down in a good posture. So sit up straight means to sit down with your back straight, okay? Even when you're sitting down, some people do this, but even when you're sitting down, if you have good posture, you would be sitting up straight. Got it? And he says, apparently, crossing your legs is really bad for your spine, okay? Really bad for your spine. Crossing one's legs. A lot of people do that. Let's imagine these are my legs. You cross your leg over the other. You can cross your leg over the other. So crossing your legs is really bad for your spine. And then Rachel says, I cross my legs all the time. So do I. They say it's bad to cross your leg in one direction all the time, so you should alternate, right? Anyhow, Peter says, so do I, but it's really bad for the alignment of your spine. Alignment, I'm sure you've heard about this, especially if you do own a car. A car alignment. 자동차 얘기할 때도 alignment right? So basically, if you say alignment of your spine or alignment of something, you are talking about a straight line of something, perhaps. So he's saying your spine should be straight. So the alignment of your spine is very important. And if you cross your legs, it's bad for your spine. Now, Rachel says it makes sense. I think also gaining weight puts a lot of pressure on your back. That can make things worse, she says. Yes, exactly. It can make things worse, meaning make it worse, make the symptoms worse, make the injury worse, make whatever worse, make it even bad, although we don't say bad. So worse is like the worst condition. So she's saying it's not good for you. And finally, Peter says that's right. So watching your weight, which means being careful about not gaining too much weight or not losing too much weight for your back as well as your general health, I think is a good idea. And of course, Rachel, she ends the conversation by saying, yeah, I think that is a good idea. So I guess we had an opportunity to learn about some expressions and phrases and words you can later on use in a conversation with somebody when talking about, that's right, back pain or even good posture or even a herniated disc. Let's take a listen one more time.
You know, Rachel, now we're getting older. We are getting older. Everyone's getting older,
that's true.
Right? One thing that's playing on my mind is back pain.
Right.
Right. The older I get, and especially now I have a baby, I'm always lifting him up, and he's not a light kid. He's a very heavy child. I get some back pain in the mornings sometimes.
Yeah, you know, I heard that back pain is very common amongst our everyday lives, or people just in general as they get older. They get herniated discs from lifting things the wrong way. I heard you're supposed to lift with your legs, right?
With your knees. Bend
or
your knees, not your back. That's
right.
the motto, I think.
Okay, and I think that is really important because so many people are suffering from back injuries.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't have any like herniated discs or any kind of dislocated discs in my back, but I do suffer from chronic back pain.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I think that's just a biological thing. It happens about once a month, and I used to have to get prescription medication for it, but nowadays the minute I feel the symptoms, I just kind of pop in some Advils,
some painkillers,
and I try to forget about it, and I drink lots of water because that helps. But I heard that exercising helps a lot. Exercising and stretching helps a lot with any kind of back pain or back injury.
Yeah,
have you heard
absolutely. And also posture is super important. You know?
Right.
Like the way we sit right now, actually. We should be sitting up straight. And apparently crossing your legs is really bad for your spine.
I cross my legs all the time.
So do I. It's much more comfortable to sit, but it's really bad for the alignment of your spine.
It makes sense. It does. And I think I'm also gaining weight puts a lot of pressure on your back, so that can make things worse.
That's right. So watching your weight for your back as well as your general health, I think is a good idea.
I think that's a great idea.
Now, are you ready for some pronunciation, some words, vocabulary, and some patterns? We've got a few vocabulary words and 3 patterns ready for you. So let's take a look at these 3 first. The first one is, that's right, not motto, but it's motto. Okay, let's take a look. It's motto. 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 And synonyms are catchword or slogan. Remember, I said it's either a word, a phrase, or an expression that is used to express somebody's thought about something, the main purpose or spirit of something. Let's move on to the next word, herniated. That's right. Pronunciation is herniated. Herniated. Stress goes right here. Another word for herniated is ruptured, right? Ruptured disc. And chronic, once again. I said that if you say something is chronic, it is long-lasting. It's very gradual. Pronunciation is chronic. Chronic. One more time. Chronic. Very good. Synonyms are constant, lingering, very serious, okay? And an antonym would be acute or even slow, okay? All right, so keep that in mind. Now, once again, chronic, it's usually very gradual. It continues on for a long time, okay? So it's never-ending and constant. Now, two more. Prescription medicine, prescription drug. It's often used together. Prescription pronunciation is prescription. Stress goes there. Prescription, okay? And synonyms are prescription drug, as well as I mentioned, prescription medicine. And there's also something called over-the-counter drug. Now, this is a type of drug that you don't need a prescription for. So often, say for example, you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you a certain form with the dosage, the kind of medicine you have to take. Now, that is a prescription drug, and you need to take the prescription to the pharmacy to get that medicine. If not, sometimes you could just walk into a pharmacy and get medicine for maybe a cold or a headache, like painkillers. Those are over-the-counter drugs or over-the-counter medicine. They're often called OTC. It's short for O, over, the, T, and counter, C. OTC medicine. Posture, right? That's the way our body is positioned. Let's check out the pronunciation. Posture, posture. Good job. Okay, let's check out some patterns then. Play on one's mind. Remember, if something plays on your mind, you're constantly worrying about it. The thought has been playing on my mind. That thought has been on my mind and I'm worried about it. In other words, another one is, one thing that's playing on my mind these days is a promotion, which means I have been worrying about a promotion these days. That is all I am thinking about and worrying about. What about this one? Suffer from something. I did mention you will hear suffer with, but in most cases, when you're talking about a disease, illness, or a certain injury, remember to use suffer with from. Here we go with some sample sentences. I suffered from the flu, or my friend has been suffering from depression. Okay, your friend has been very sad and depressed for some time. You can say, my friend has been suffering from depression. And one more, our last one is pop a painkiller or pop some painkillers. Okay, it means to take medication or take a painkiller. The minute I feel pain, I pop a painkiller. Okay, I pop a painkiller. And one more, I pop a painkiller and the pain stops or the pain goes away. It disappears. So one quick question, how often do you pop painkillers? I guess I try not to, unless it's really, really painful. And expressions.
Your body is an amazing tool. It's the coolest thing you'll ever own. It obeys what you tell it to, gets you from place to place, and you can improve it, but you can also damage it. It's complex. One of the most complex parts of your body is your spine, and your spine is really easy to damage. You can hurt your back by doing sports, by lifting heavy objects, by bending the wrong way sometimes if you're old enough. I myself managed to damage my back, and now I have permanent back pain, which is no fun. So, here's my advice. The way that I damaged mine, I was working in a factory, and I had to lift the same thing over and over, and I didn't know how to lift heavy things. When you lift heavy things, don't bend your back. Always use your legs. Your back is not strong enough to lift heavy objects, and if you're stupid like I was, you'll end up hurting it.
And there was Joe once again helping us out with today's actual story. Now, he did focus on back pain as that is our topic for the day. He talked about a time that he was working at a factory and he had to lift the same thing over and over again, but he just did not know the proper way to lift things. Let's check out what else he mentioned. I love the way he started his answer. He said, your body is an amazing tool. It's the coolest thing you'll ever own. I just think he was so creative. I love that. You know, oftentimes when we're given a certain topic or a certain question, we're so focused on what we have to say. But I think this is a wonderful way to start your story, okay, or start your answer. Start talking about the topic. Your body is an amazing tool. It's the coolest thing you'll ever own. Of course, it's yours, so you should take care of it. He also mentioned you can improve it, make it better, but you can also damage it, which means you need to be very, very careful with your body. You are responsible. He says you can hurt your back by doing certain things, doing sports, by lifting heavy objects, by bending the wrong way. That's right. It's all simple, but bending the wrong way, perhaps there are certain ways you should bend, and there are certain parts of the body you should put weight on, but he's saying if you bend your body the wrong way, you could hurt your back, okay? And let's check out two more. I have permanent back pain. He has permanent back pain, meaning what? It's not temporary, it is long-lasting. Permanent means it will stay with you. It will not disappear. I feel bad. Anyhow, one last point. When you lift heavy things, he's giving us advice. He says, don't bend your back. Always use your legs. People know this. People know the idea, but it's just hard to apply the idea when you're actually doing the action, right? Anyhow, when you lift heavy things, everyone, as Joe says, do not bend your knees. Always use your legs, everyone. Oh, and don't put all the weight on your back either. Okay, job well done.
Your body is an amazing tool. It's the coolest thing you'll ever own. It obeys what you tell it to, gets you from place to place, and you can improve it, but you can also damage it. It's complex. One of the most complex parts of your body is your spine, and your spine is really easy to damage. You can hurt your back by doing sports, by lifting heavy objects, by bending the wrong way sometimes if you're old enough. I myself managed to damage my back, and now I have permanent back pain, which is no fun. So, here's my advice. The way that I damaged mine, I was working in a factory, and I had to lift the same thing over and over, and I didn't know how to lift heavy things. When you lift heavy things, don't bend your back. Always use your legs. Your back is not strong enough to lift heavy objects, and if you're stupid like I was, you'll end up hurting it.
Oh, I think I might have said don't bend your knees, but I actually meant don't bend your back and use your legs, everyone. So please do keep that in mind the next time you lift anything heavy. And for our female viewers out there, if there happens to be a man, a gentleman, a guy near you or next to you, ask him to do that for you, okay? Anyhow, I hope you had a lot of fun with me today and learned lots about back pain. Learned many ways to talk about back pain. So perhaps the next time you have a conversation with someone or have to do an interview in English about back pain, you know exactly what to say. Next time, I'll join you back with another wonderful topic. Well, not exactly wonderful. It's quite painful when you have a stomach ache, but that is our topic for our next lesson. Let's talk about stomach aches next time. In the meantime, come to our homepage. Come and look for us at www.ebse.co.kr and come by to say hello. Why not? Leave us a comment, questions, feedback, anything you would like to do. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. I'll catch you again next time. Bye.